No, I don't think he will. I think this situation right now, it's run its course, and I think that there's going to be a scapegoat for this season. It's not going to be Harry Roseman. It's not going to be Doug Peterson. It's going to be Carson Wentz. He's going to be the one out, especially since Jalen Hurts has come in and given him somewhat of a spark. He hasn't showed that he's going to be a star in this league necessarily, but this team seems to be better with Jalen Hurts, and I feel like they can't have both of them next year. A throuple is one of those things that seems like a good idea until you actually experience it in practice. It is too difficult to pull off. You need one person, a relationship between the quarterback and the team, and I think that Carson Wentz is the odd man out. He's going to be looking for a new suitor this offseason.
Okay, a lot of teams might have interest there. So for one quarterback question to another, will Cam Newton be on a roster, period, next season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Cam Newton showed that he was willing to take league minimum last year because he wanted to reestablish how good he was. So I don't see what's changed. I think he still seems motivated. All his words suggest that he wants to come back, and I don't think that it's about money for him necessarily. And I'm not 100% sure that he won't end up back in New England. It seemed like what Bill Belichick's comments suggested and what everyone around there suggested, they really like having Cam Newton there, but they had issues around him and they had issues on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know if I agree with that. Cam Newton himself was a big part of the problem, but I could see him back in New England or somewhere else as a backup. He'll certainly be on the team next year if that's what he wants to do.
It will be very interesting if he ends up back with the Patriots. Finally, which AFC 10-5 team do you have missing the playoffs?
I mean, it hurts me to say it, but I think it's the Dolphins. As impressive as what Chris Greer and Brian Flores have done down there, they're way ahead of schedule, considering that they were awful last year. So bad that I thought they were tanking at the beginning of the season. They were getting blown all the way out. Now to being a team that is playoff caliber. They may not make it, but they are good enough to be in the playoffs. And I made the mistake of disagreeing with Brian Flores in the past when I thought he was tanking, but he clearly wasn't. But I kind of disagree with him again now because it seems like they're leaning towards Tua being the quarterback for this particular game. Maybe he's the quarterback for the future. I hope he is. I'd like to see once he's fully recovered, a year away from that injury, has some time in that system. But I'm not sure that he's the right guy for this particular game. They need to beat the Buffalo Bills. And right now, the Bills have the best offense in the league. They're playing as well as anybody, including Kansas City in this past month. So if you're going to beat the Bills, you're going to need to go with, in my mind, Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's high risk, high reward. You could get blown out with Ryan Fitzpatrick because bad Fitzmagic might show up or Fitztragic might show up. But I think with Tua, you're going to play within the confines of a particular offense. You're not going to blow anybody out. He's not going to make a bunch of mistakes. It reminds me of when Drew Brees was hurt and we were deciding between Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill. When they were playing the Chiefs, I felt like you got to go with Jameis Winston. But in this situation, I think Fitzmagic is the guy that you have to give a shot to get into the playoffs.
That is very interesting. You are the first person, we've been talking about this all week, you're the first person to mention that Fitz should start, which I think is really fascinating. Okay, so Des, you're from the South Florida area.
It made
what do
me
you
feel
think
like I was wrong. Oh.
What do you say, Ryan?
What do you think about that Fitzpatrick should start?
You know, this is the deal. I live in Miami, right? And I actually sent out a tweet after the last game. I know you guys think that RC's the only one on the show with a Twitter account, but I have one too. And I said that you can pretty much count on one hand with two fingers missing the number of coaches that could actually shuffle quarterbacks not only throughout the season, but in and out of an actual game, and that everybody's okay with it. Now, with that being said, I believe that they're sending a message. The message that Chris Greer and Brian Flores sends to his team is that we're always going to go with the best guys going to give us the best opportunity to win our game. And they're going to judge that based on what they see throughout the week in practice and what they see on film. So I'm completely fine with him starting the first-round pick in Tua or the journeyman in Fitzmagic. One way or another, their message is clear. They're going to go with the guy who's going to give them the best chance to win, no matter if you're a 16-year veteran or a first-round draft pick. And I have to respect that.
But, RC, the talk has been all week. Well, Tua's been the starter. We leave him in. We've been winning with this mixture of the starter and the reliever. What do you think about Fitzpatrick being the guy to start?
Listen, I don't necessarily think Fitzpatrick should be the guy to start. I believe in Brian Flores. Now, listen, I was a dude that when they made the switch, I asked the question why. I wanted to know what the reasons were behind it. And then when you saw Tua get replaced against the Denver Broncos, it goes to mind too. So you don't think he can win a game like this? But then when you watch it, I've kind of figured it out. Brian Flores believes that Tua Tagovailoa plays within the confines of the offense. He protects the football and allows you to stay in games. He will not play you out of a game. But when they get behind and when you feel like it can be your back against the wall, you put Fitzmagic in because you know he isn't scared to push the envelope. And you know at those times, because you're already losing, you're in a situation where it doesn't matter what he does. Listen, I grew up with two homeboys, right? I had one homeboy, he christened my first child. You know why? Because he was responsible. He did the right things. I knew if something happened to me and he had to take my kids, he would do the right thing by them. And then I had a homeboy who walked down the street with me to every fight. My homeboy who christened my children, he wasn't there for those, but I had my other one, and every fight he was there with me. That's what Brian Flores got. He got somebody that's going to christen his children and somebody that's going to be at every fight. You need them at different times, and Brian Flores uses them perfectly.
We all
respect that.
Magic is the fighter.
He's probably using that exact same example in the locker room.
Ryan Smith, hold on, Ryan Smith. One thing, I can't look at Dez and not hear what he said last segment. That man said that Cam Newton had an alley cat coat, and then he called him a joker.
Puppy shoes.
Lord, as everyone laughs at the way I read your tweet, I can't even do it with a straight face.
Okay, so Greeny's not here. We're going to do a little bit differently today. And let's figure this out. We're going to put a little remix on this and have a different person read your tweets. I'm up first. So let's start with this, RC. Holy hole in the wall, big man. Right out of bed. Jets popped the ball out, and it's back on the spot of the fumble. If that's not the most Jets way to win yourself out of a new QB and the most Browns way to keep the 17-year playoff let streak alive, oh, 2020, you son of a biscuit eater, you. RC, explain.
I must admit, that was like the best I've ever heard it read. I'm sorry, Greeny, that was really good. But this is the first time ever in football that a play happens and both fan bases are screaming, no! If you're the Jets, you're like, oh, no. Don't knock the ball out. Let them score. We still got a chance at Trevor. And if you're the Cleveland Browns, you was like, I know in the hell we did not come to MetLife and lose to the New York Jets. But both of them happened. That's what 2020 is. It's ebbs and flows. It's ups and downs. It's Greeny reading your tweets sometimes. And then it's Ryan Smith. That's the way the year has worked. And listen, since you said we're going to switch it up a little bit, I got to go to my dog, Graz, because without Graz, there is no Culture Wednesday. So the next tweet is yours, my dog.
I don't know how I'm going to follow Ryan, but I'm just going to play it straight. This one said, looks like somebody or somebodies watched Rodgers and Adams cut the fool last night. Allen and Diggs are showing their whole tail right now. I mean, Randy Moss, moon the crowd type action. Man, golly, they are cutting up. This looks like Tecmo Bowl.
This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to explain your tweets. Y'all remember Tecmo Bowl? I used to play with the San Francisco 49ers because you could drop Joe Montana back from the 50-yard line to the end zone and then throw it 100 dang yards to Jerry Rice. And that's what it's starting to look like. And you know what? I can tell that the Bills were watching the Green Bay Packers like Orange Juice Jones. Not orange juice, Orange Juice Jones. And you know what he said? He said, I saw you and him walking in the ring. Well, Josh and Stephon saw Aaron and Devontae playing in the snow. And they wanted to make sure that all the people knew that they could do the same dang thing. And listen, it can't be Culture Wednesday if my dog Dom don't get his chance. And for Dom, I got a special one. I made sure to put in a reference I knew he'd get and knew he'd understand.
Well, I'll get them all the time. I ain't missed one yet, just like you ain't missed one of mine. But I can't read like them, so I'm gonna read this one like Greeny. The Steelers got me feeling like Quincy McCall tore his ACL playing for the Lakers all over again. At least he had Tyra Banks